Have you guys seen The Glass Onion yet? I think I like Knives Out more, but I was a little more interested in the characters of Glass Onion, and that might be because of the cast, but I don't really, don't worry about it. In The Glass Onion, there is a scene where Third Hulk explains what disruption is.
You break a norm or an idea or a convention, some little business model, but you go with things that people are kind of tired of anyway. Will you break more things? Are you willing to break the thing that nobody wants you to break? Because as it turns out, nobody wants you to break the system itself. But that is what true disruption is.
And I think that is exactly what She-Hulk did to the MCU. So real quick from me, I didn't like She-Hulk. I didn't really care for any of the characters, and I don't remember a whole lot of development or progression for anyone, and I never really found myself interested in following any of their stories. In fact, most of the side stories that came from the more episodic approach just didn't really do anything for me. And the main story with the whole Hulk blood and intelligentsia plot ended up being pointless due to the nature of the ending. But if I'm being honest, those were really small problems for me, and I'll explain more later. The biggest thing for me is that I just didn't really find it all that funny. And it is probably a really good time to talk about what that means, because something like that means everything and nothing all at the same time. Humor and comedy are very different for everyone, so me not liking this comedy doesn't make a thing bad. I don't like The Big Bang Theory because I don't think it's funny, but there's nothing wrong if you do like The Big Bang Theory, it's just not for me. Bazinga. I still don't get it. And before we go any further with this, you should know my humor is stupid. I find something like this to be hilarious. So my humor is very weird and not trustworthy, but also this is my video, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. Back to the jokes though. I'm not sure if it was just the setup or delivery or the jokes in general, but I would say about 80% of the things that were supposed to make me laugh didn't. And for a comedy, that isn't great. But that is just me, that is what I find funny, so I'm sure that if you found things in the show funny, then you were more likely to like the show, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, this is my video, but my video is going on the internet, where it's not just my opinion that matters anymore. I mean, it should be the only one that matters, but I guess it's not, because other people have different opinions than mine, and they have better arguments, and their arguments make more sense than what I say, so whatever. But the opinions I see about She-Hulk on the internet seem to be very different than mine, in a sense that I only kinda don't like the show, whereas the internet seems to hate it with a burning passion. Or at least the majority of the internet hated it with a burning passion for the first half of the show, but then after that, I started seeing more opinions in defense of the show, and somehow this simple show had been the biggest disruption to Marvel fans, and I just don't get it, right? Because again, when I watched it, I could see why you would like it. I can very much see why you wouldn't, but I don't see a reason to care about the show, and I think that is one of the worst things you could ever say about art, right? Something people can be very passionate about when they made it. I'm not trying to take away from anyone who made the show or what they did to the show, but I do think in the grand scheme of, let's just say, Marvel, it was there. The point that I want to get to is that as someone who spends a lot of time on the internet and social media and diving into nerd culture, and specifically Marvel being one of the bigger categories there, at least while it was airing, I could not get away from how much people were talking about She-Hulk, and that was the last thing that I wanted, right? Perfect example. This should explain everything perfectly, okay? That post-credit scene, the twerk, right? The twerk post-credit scene, that happened. I saw that and I thought, well, that looked weird and that was kind of cringe. I'll just never watch it again. And then it was everywhere, okay? And maybe you're watching, right? Maybe you're watching and you're thinking to yourself, why isn't he showing the clip? Because I meant what I just said. I never want to look at it again. To put it in the video, I would have to go watch it. I would have to go get that clip. I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to look at it ever again. I won't. It's not in the video. This is the hill that I will die on with She-Hulk. I do not ever want to look at that on purpose. If it pops up in a meme, that I leave the meme. But here, I would be going out of my way to find it and watch it and consume it. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm done with it. I want to leave that along with the rest of She-Hulk. I want to leave it all behind. And this goddamn community, we can't do that, okay? People can't stop talking about She-Hulk months, months after it ended, okay? I'm part of the problem now. You've made me part of the problem because I can't go anywhere and not see She-Hulk stuff still popping up, okay? And now, as I just complained, oh, I don't want to look at She-Hulk stuff. I don't want to talk about She-Hulk anymore. I'm a hypocrite now. I'm making a She-Hulk video. I'm making a whole video on it. This is a month of my life I'm devoting to She-Hulk content, okay? And you're gonna watch it. You're gonna watch it because you're not done with it either, okay? And guess what? It's because of us. It's because of us there's another season. They're getting a second season. It's all our fault. It's all my fault. I can't not make this video though. I've yet to see a She-Hulk comment that hasn't exploded the internet with 1,000 other people arguing, and I don't know. I made a Hulk video before She-Hulk came out, and it's my most popular video. How would a She-Hulk video? I can't see a good enough reason not to do this other than not hating myself, but here I am. I hate myself every day. I'm gonna watch through She-Hulk again to make this video. And that's just, it's the price I will pay. It's the price I will pay to get 3 more clicks on my videos. What am I talking about? That was all off script rant. I have to go back on the script now. Right, so people who don't like She-Hulk obviously share their opinions. And gotta say, they are making some good arguments, okay? I saw a great video by Baggage Claim, YouTube channel, about why She-Hulk sucks, and they made some great points in that video. They seem far more educated than me, so I would trust them and what they're saying far over me. I'm a dumb boy, right? But one point that they made was that the way the She-Hulk writers wrote men is how they perceive men and how they want the audience to perceive men. And it's stuff like this that I think will lead us to our biggest problem, right? Because I think a lot of people are looking at She-Hulk the same way they've been looking at a lot of other Marvel shows or Marvel projects, and I don't think you're supposed to do that. This show is a comedy, so if we wanted to look at another comedy, I'm just gonna throw South Park out there. When South Park writes its Canadian characters like this, I don't think it's because they're trying to say that that's how all Canadians are. I think they just took a weird stereotype and over-exaggerated it to a point where it's supposed to be funny. Now before anyone does, I'm not trying to directly compare South Park to She-Hulk. It's just that they both fall into the category, the genre of comedy. Please leave me alone. Please don't scream at me about that. Scream at me about my She-Hulk opinions, please. But I think that's what She-Hulk was trying to do. Like, it's so absurd that Jen would constantly encounter the worst kinds of guys, and it's supposed to be funny when a guy like Todd would call a woman a specimen, right? You're not supposed to take Todd serious because he's sad, and that's funny. When I was watching She-Hulk, I never got the impression that the writers were saying all men are shitbags. I always saw it more of, here's us over-exaggerating men to the point where it can be a joke. Captain Marvel was something you were supposed to look at as something more serious, right? With Carol constantly being harassed and looked down on by men, but she always fought back, and there was a positive message there about how strong women can be. But in She-Hulk, Jen kind of just always ends up around shitty men, and then is just kind of like, can you leave now? I don't think you're supposed to take She-Hulk all that serious, and that is where our biggest problem is, because She-Hulk is in the MCU, and while the MCU may have a lot of jokes in it, it's still pretty serious. There is a level of immersion we, the fans, have whenever that big, shiny Marvel logo pops up before a movie or a show or anything. And She-Hulk's whole thing is taking that immersion and throwing it out the window. It's disrupting our immersion by breaking the fourth wall and being super meta and doing a lot of things that really just don't make sense or fit into the world. And I'll get into some more of those later, because right now what I want to talk about is how the finale of this show is what really kind of broke me. What a terrible thing. What a terrible thing it had to do is break my mind to be able to say, oh, okay, let's watch this as a comedy, and then for it to not even be funny to me. It's very sad. Right, so in the finale of the show, Jen breaks out of her show to go talk to the writers of her show. But that means that the MCU is written by a team of writers who were written by the real writers of the MCU, like real people. So there's some kind of universe between us and the MCU, because we have written writers for the MCU. But even after Jen broke into that middle universe, she still breaks the fourth wall to talk to us, the real audience. So when she's breaking the fourth wall in the rest of the show, was that just the writers they wrote writing her breaking in the fourth wall into their universe, or was that her breaking right past the middle universe and straight to us? Well, I guess it would probably have to be her breaking through to us if she acknowledges us Why is she dealing with the middle universe at all even? And how does that middle universe work now, right? For those writers who have the fictional characters they're writing to break out of the show and interact with them, like what is that like? Is that a normal event that happens at a universe? And if so, how many other characters have broken out of their universe that was written in order to interact with their writers? And I have never cared so much about a fourth wall break, but because She-Hulk is in the MCU, it isn't just being fun anymore, it's disrupting the entire universe we've spent 15 years immersing ourselves in. How many of us had a problem when Homecoming put the wrong year? How many of us were genuinely bothered by that? What do you think that this does to us? This hurts, okay? But if you can turn off that part of your brain, that immersive part of your brain, I'm sure you are going to have a much better time with the show, unless the jokes don't work for you. So those are the big problems I have with the show, and I could see a lot of other people having with the show. Aside from actually just being a sexist, which is a whole other thing that I don't want to get into. So instead, I'm going to complain about all the dumb little stuff I personally didn't like in the show. Why wouldn't Wong just take the sling ring back from Donnie Blaze? Like, as previously established in the episode before, Wong does not respect the ways of American laws. You are supposed to be the Sorcerer Supreme, go portal and grab it. You are better at magic than he is, so what's he gonna do if you take it? What can he possibly do to you? Alright, so as for Hulk, I, again, made a video on him. Don't worry about it. I wasn't thrilled with him, but hey, maybe that's just me. It's not just me, but maybe it is. So, should, for some magical reason, I have been the one making this show, what I would have done, you do a lot of the same stuff in that first episode, but don't have Bruce pushing the idea that Jen needs to become a superhero just because she's a Hulk. Like, just have him not wanting Jen to leave. He's doing experiments on her. He's constantly testing her, instead of talking about how jealous he is of her all the time, right? And you don't do the weird dumb fight. You just have Jen wanting to leave and feeling fine about her being a Hulk. But Bruce still won't let her, and all this leads to her frustrations and leads to her lashing out like she did in the show. But then you have Bruce kind of be like, Jen, I'm really sorry you have to deal with all that kind of stuff, and I don't doubt that you're not great at dealing with douchebags, but that's not what I'm talking about here. If people find out that you can turn into a Hulk, there are people who are going to try to use those powers for themselves or against you. And you won't just be in danger, you will become the danger. As a Hulk, you'll be incredibly dangerous to everyone around you, and innocent people might get hurt. And I don't want anyone else to get hurt because of the Hulk. And I don't want you to ever have to live with that like I have. And then you could have Jen apologize, be like, shit, my bad. But Bruce is like totally cool, because he's like, look, no, I get it. Like, this is it's not an easy situation, and it's not fun for anyone, but like, I need to be sure that the world is gonna be okay with two Hulks in it. And then, the episode ends, and like, Bruce kind of reminds her of the big, responsibilities that you have having a power or whatever. It's not just Spider-Man, it's every superhero, okay? Shut up. But now we have properly set up, the rest of the season with people finding out she's a Hulk and wanting to use that against her. And just me though. Again, completely just like my fanfic, what I'm throwing out. So I'm an idiot. I don't know what makes good or bad. So that's Wong, that's Hulk. Who else is the big one here? Let's see. Yeah, can we talk about Daredevil, please? What the fuck is this shit? No, I'm not talking about the suit or the jokes. Nah, I'm talking about this. I'm talking about the, and it's not just that I don't like Matt and Jen together.
We're all feeling this, right? It's not just me.
Of course I'm feeling it. Everyone's feeling it, because Charlie Cox has incredible chemistry with everyone he's ever been on screen with. I mean everyone. Don't think you're special, Jen. You had one episode with this man, okay? Claire had like 4. Elektra had like 7. We all thought about Matt and Jessica after the fucking Defenders, alright? But my girl, Karen Page, had 3 seasons of romantic chemistry with Matt Murdock. So I ask again, what the fuck is this? Where's Karen Page? We finally got to a point at the end of season 3 where these two could have been they could have had a proper relationship. So what happened? Here, let me try something here, right? We all like The Office, right? It's like if in The Office we got to the point where Jim had finally asked Pam out, and then the show just ended. But Jim popped up in Parks and Rec and tried to get with Anne, which is a joke in itself if you get it. But everyone would be like, wait, what happened to Pam? You spent so long setting up that these two should be together, and then you're just throwing it out the window and not talking about it. That's just, why aren't we talking about it? What's happening? Simple solution. Just say, not canon, right? Say Daredevil, Netflix, not the same canon as the MCU. Just better yet, never acknowledge it, right? Just never directly say anything. Just be like, maybe they're connected, I don't know. Just never specifically say it's the same canon and I'll be fine. What were we talking about? Right, just general stuff I didn't like about the show. Right, you guys remember the episode with the side story that didn't focus on Jen and really had nothing to do with her story at all? And it was like, it was all about someone who had powers and then misused said powers to deceive people for selfish gain, but then the persons who were lied to are now taking legal action against the selfish and harmful super being. I'm gonna guess you do remember it because they did it twice. You couldn't think of anything else? You did the same exact plotline twice. Okay, and while we're talking about the court cases, right? What happened with the frog guy's case, right? Did Jen actually just do no follow-up research here to at least like have a real argument, or did she just go off of like the 3 details she got in the scene prior? It really seems like the show loves to play fast and loose with the law. All the court cases seem pretty like, I don't know the law, but I feel like this stuff just isn't right. And you know, it's a superhero show. They're making new laws. That's not the point, right? She-Hulk busted up a parking garage and a courtroom, but like, whoa, she hit the TV. She hit the TV. Take her down, boys. Take her down. Like, where did the super police come from? Why were they just waiting outside the female lawyer awards? Like, were they ready for, are they always waiting on She-Hulk to do something? They're not. They're clearly not. What? Isn't what happened to her on the TV, isn't all that illegal too? I still don't know laws, but like, come on. Why is she the one in trouble here? This is why you can't think too hard about any of this. Now, this last one here, this isn't a real complaint because making these changes would not have actually changed the show in any kind of way. But like, I would have liked to see more muscles on She-Hulk, and I'm not ashamed to admit that's just because I'm attracted to strong women. Okay, that's just like it's just me being weird. But like, I don't think She-Hulk having less defined muscles isn't what made the show not work, and I don't actually think there's no valid criticism from this point. Like, I'm just bringing it up because like other people brought it up and were actually like mad about it. I'm not mad about it. I'm just acknowledging like, yeah, I would have liked to see that, but also like it didn't change the show. Don't act like it would have made the show any better. Just say you're horny. It's fine. I am. There's no problem with that, right? And while I'm here though, not sure if you guys have seen any of this concept art, but Jesus Christ, this one's doing something for me. Now, I probably could just end the video here talking about mostly negative things about the show and probably win the favor of a lot of people in the comments. But I do try to see as much good as I possibly can from everything I watch, because I would love to enjoy everything ever made. Unfortunately, I don't, but I still do always try to find things that I like in everything that I watch. So just because I didn't like She-Hulk doesn't mean that it failed in every possible way to entertain me. I touched on it in my last video, but the casting did really seem good, and I think everyone played the characters they were told to pretty well. And I also did enjoy the episodic approach, and I think it worked for this show and probably wouldn't work for any of the other Marvel things. But, you know, not feeling like the, oh gee, I need to watch the next episode of something, but instead kind of just like having something more chill to go watch after work. It's nice. It's a nice thing to have. And I know we all clown on the CGI because it's not great, but I think for how often it's used and what the budget probably was on the show, I think they did a good enough job with bringing She-Hulk to life and not making me hate it the entire time. Again, not great, but if you're just casually watching, I don't think it's too much of a bother. And while I don't think the show had the best use of fourth wall break, I still think they did a pretty good job at knowing when to use it and how to have fun with it. Wong is great as always, and I was really happy to see Daredevil, and I can adjust to this new like MCU version of him. It's just gonna take a bit. Characters like Donnie Blaze, Madison, the Immortal guy, this Asgardian like shapeshifter, they were all fun, right? They were all a lot of fun characters, and you could tell that the actors were enjoying playing that kind of character. They were really bringing it out. And like I said before, some of the jokes did really work for me. Like when the shapeshifter is trying to give the Asgard is not a place, it's a people speech, and the judge just shuts it down. Loved that. I was having a great time with that. And then when the Kevin robot comes out and he has a little, as soon as I noticed, oh, he has a little hat on, I was so happy with that. I was actually like laughing at that. I was so, I don't know why. It's such a simple thing, and apparently Kevin Feige was actually like, maybe don't do that. I heard that somewhere. What an idiot. That was the best joke in the entire show. And then I'll also throw out that dorky magician lawyer. I thought that was fun. I don't know. kind of liked it. And then the last thing I want to shout out is the like OG Hulk intro recreation that they did in the finale. I thought that was cool and like a fun homage. Didn't really serve a purpose, but it also didn't need to. Like you could have taken that and put it at the beginning of any episode and it would have been fine. Again, as much as I do not like this show, I do not hate this show. And I think I mentioned it in my rant, but the show is getting a second season, and look, I'm not that mad at that, but I am terrified, right? Because throughout the first season, it was just like, here's the show, and then people would react to it. But now, She-Hulk has a chance to respond to its criticism, and I think there is no way that can go well, and no way the writers won't do it. So, for as mad as people were at the first season, I think it's only gonna get worse with the second season. And when the hate gets worse, it's gonna last so much longer. And I don't think I'll ever be able to get away from She-Hulk, so I guess this is just the life I live now. A life that was once so simple was so easily disrupted by something so insignificant. Did I use disruption enough times to like justify putting in the title? I probably could have just said it like the once and would have gotten the point across. I probably didn't even need to say it, maybe just explain. But like this is the first time I'm really like proud of a video title, and I liked using the Glass Onion to like connect it, and yeah. Okay, bye.